Let's be honest, NEET PG counseling can get confusing. Each state has its own process, its own deadlines, and its own set of rules. And just when you think you have figured it out, another notification drops with eligibility clause, and that's where most doctors get stuck. And if you are applying in Andhra Pradesh for a medical PG seat this year, this confusion can feel even bigger. Because unlike most states, Andhra Pradesh runs two different quotas under the same counseling system, the Competent Authority Quota and the Management Quota. So to make your counseling journey a little overwhelming, today we are breaking down the entire Andhra Pradesh NEET PG Counseling 2025 structure. How these two quotas work, who's eligible for each, how seats are distributed, and what do you need to know before the counseling begins. Welcome back to the channel where we simplify complex medical counseling rules and help you make smarter, more confident choices. And if you are new here, hit that subscribe button because this series will help you navigate every state counseling, from understanding seat quotas to avoiding common mistakes that cause students lags. Alright, let's get started. And the best way to begin this is by understanding what the Competent Authority Quota really is. In simple terms, Competent Authority Quota is the state-controlled quota that covers 50% of total PG medical seats in Andhra Pradesh. All of these seats are filled through the official counseling conducted by Dr. NTR University of Health Science, the body that manages PG admissions for the entire state. Now, who's eligible for it? Only local candidates of Andhra Pradesh can apply under CAQ. That means your MBBS study location or domicile should fall within the defined local or non-local area rules of the state. Now, when we say local candidate, under the Competent Authority Quota, it doesn't just mean someone who's from Andhra Pradesh. It's defined very specifically based on where you studied or lived during your school and MBBS years. So here's how it works. If you have studied in educational institutions located in a particular local area of Andhra Pradesh for at least 4 consecutive academic years, ending with the year you appeared for your qualifying examination, you will be regarded as a local candidate for that area. If you haven't studied for 4 years but you have resided in that area for 4 consecutive years, immediately before your MBBS exam year, you'll also be considered as a local candidate for that area. But what if you have studied in different parts of Andhra Pradesh or not continuously in one region? Then this rule expands to a 7-year window. If you have studied in Andhra Pradesh for 7 consecutive years, you will be considered as a local candidate for the area where you have studied the most number of years. If your studied years are split equally between 2 areas, you will be treated as a local candidate of the area where you studied last. And if you didn't study at all in a formal institution but have resided in the state for 7 consecutive years, then your residential address determines your local area, whichever region you have stayed in the longest recently. And if you didn't study at all in a formal institution but have resided in the state for 7 consecutive years, then your residential address determines your local area, whichever region you have stayed in the longest. So in short, your local area status depends entirely on your place of study or residence, not just your address or hometown. Once you meet these conditions, you will be considered under the Competent Authority Quota. Now let's see how these seats are actually divided across different types of colleges. In government medical colleges, 50% of seats go to All India Quota and the remaining 50% seats come under the state quota. In private, unaided, non-minority colleges, split evenly, 50% under CAQ and 50% under management quota. In Sri Venkateswara Institute of Medical Sciences, Tirupati, 50% of seats are allotted under CAQ, and within that, 85% are reserved for local candidates, while 15% remain unreserved for open competition. So in short, the Competent Authority Quota represent the government-regulated seats that are primarily meant for Andhra Pradesh locals, with reservation, benefits, and a rank-based selection system. I hope that you have already registered to participate in the CAQ counseling. If not, registrations with the late fee are still going on. And now that you understand what CAQ is and how these seats are distributed, let's move on to the next part, the management quota, which works very differently from this one. Under this quota, 50% of seats in each private medical college are classified as management quota seats. These seats are filled through the same counseling process but under a separate set of rules defined by the government. And this 50% management quota is further divided into 3 subcategories: Subcategory 1, Subcategory 2 and Subcategory 3. Management quota, Subcategory 1. Under this category, 25% of the total sanctioned intake Course-wise in each institution is filled based on NEET PG 2025 ranking. There's one important detail here. These subcategory 1 seats in non-minority medical colleges are further split into S1A and S1B. S1A, 15% of subcategory 1 seats are open to candidates from all over India, and these are filled first, purely based on merit from the NEET PG merit list. S1B, the remaining 85% of subcategory 1 seats are reserved for local candidates from Andhra Pradesh, also filled by order of merit. So in short, MQ1 covers 25% of seats with the split between all India candidates and Andhra Pradesh locals. Management quota subcategory 2. The next category is MQ2, which accounts for 15% of the total seats in each course and college. These seats are reserved for foreign students, NRI candidates and NRI sponsored candidates. Admission under this category are done strictly based on merit among applicants who have qualified in NEET PG 2025. Management quota subcategory 3. And finally we have MQ3, which makes up to 10% of the total intake in each course and institution. These are institutional preference or in service management quota seats, and they are also filled purely based on the merit among applicants who have qualified in NEET PG 2025. So that's the full structure of the management quota in Andhra Pradesh. Now, the application process for management quota in Andhra Pradesh hasn't opened yet. But when it does, here's what you'll need to know about the registration and processing fee you'll have to pay during the application stage. The amount varies depending on where you have completed your MBBS, whether it's within Andhra Pradesh, outside the state or outside the country. Here's the breakdown. So once the management quota registration window opens, make sure you have the amount ready before you begin your application, because these are mandatory non-refundable processing fees charged during the initial registration stage. Before we wrap up, it's important to note that all the information we have discussed about management quota, including seat, categories, eligibility and fee details, is based on 2024 and 2025 counselling brochure issued by Dr. NTR University of Health Sciences. The official brochure for the 2025-2026 NEET PG counselling under the management quota has not yet been released. So, while this video gives you a clear idea of what to expect, we strongly recommend that you refer to the official 2025-2026 counselling notification and brochure once it's published, especially before making any fee payments or confirming your application, as the structure, amounts or rules may be subject to change. With that in mind, let's understand how the fee structure differs between competent authority quota and the management quota. The fee structure under the competent authority quota and the management quota differs substantially between government and private institutions. Here's the detailed comparison based on 2024-2025 academic year. In addition to the regular tuition fees, there are also a few mandatory university level charges that every candidate needs to be aware of during this counselling and admission process. For CAQ candidates, there's a non-refundable fee of 23,600 that must be paid to the university in order to download the allotment letter once a seat has been allotted. For those joining under MQ quota, the fee is slightly higher. Every selected candidate will need to pay non-refundable university fee of 49,600 at the time of admission. And during the phase 3 mop-up round of CAQ counselling, all participating candidates are also required to pay a security deposit of 50,000, which is refundable once the counselling process concludes. So apart from your tuition, it's important to keep these additional university charges in mind, because they are a part of mandatory payment processing during seat allotment and admission confirmation. While this gives an indicative overview, it's important to note that the tuition fees varies widely depending on the specialty and the institution. So it is advised that you verify the latest fee structure published by Dr. NTR University of Health Sciences and the respective colleges at the time of admission. Having understood the financial obligations, it's equally important to be aware of the service commitments and policies that follow your admission. Let's take a closer look at bonds, stipends and penalties applicable to postgraduate medical seats in Andhra Pradesh. When it comes to postgraduate admissions in Andhra Pradesh, there is one section of the brochure that every doctor should pay attention to: the bonds, stipends and penalties, because Once you have secured your seat, these are the rules that will decide your service commitment, your financial liability, and even your eligibility for future admissions if you discontinue mid-course. Let's start with something that applies to everyone, whether you're under CAQ or MQ. If you continue your MD, MS or diploma course midway, you'll need to pay a penalty of 3 lakh plus 18% GST to the university. On top of that, you'll be debarred from applying for any PG or diploma admissions in Andhra Pradesh for the next 3 years. So yes, discontinuing a seat is not just about walking away. It comes with real financial and career consequences. Now the service bond differs depending on what category you fall under. For in-service candidates, which means if you are already a government employee or you have joined through a government merit seat, you'll need to serve a 10-year bond in state government institution after completing your PG course. If you don't serve this bond, there is a 50 lakh penalty and you'll have to repay your salary with interest. You can still pursue super specialty courses later, but you'll need to complete remaining bond period after that. For non-service candidates, which means if you are not government employee and you have joined under the competent authority quota, you'll need to serve a 1-year service bond with the government after completing your course. If you fail to complete that service within 18 months, you'll have to pay a penalty of 40 lakh to the government. For candidates under the management quota, the rules is slightly different. You'll need to serve 1 year as a senior resident in the same institution where you completed your PG. If you don't serve this period, you'll have to pay a 3 lakh penalty and the stipend you received till date must also be returned. Now let's talk about stipends because they vary depending on where you study. In government colleges like Sri Venkateshwara Institution of Medical Sciences, the stipend roughly looks like this. But in private medical colleges like Pinnamani Siddhartha Medical College, the stipend is usually fixed at around 30,000 per year for the first, second and third years, but it might differ in other private medical colleges. So while bonds and penalties differ depending on your category, the discontinuation rules remain the same for all. And before you finalize your seat, it's really important to know what you're committing to because these obligations directly affect your career timeline, finances and even your future counseling eligibility. And before we wrap up, let's quickly look at some of the top medical colleges you can aim in Andhra Pradesh. When it comes to government medical colleges, you can see some of the best medical colleges on the screen. And among private medical colleges, some of the most reputed options are. So if you are eyeing any of these colleges for your MD or MS seat this year, don't wait until the counseling begins. You can actually check right now whether your NEET PG rank, preferred specialty and quota category align with cutoffs for these colleges and see exactly where you stand. Just head to our NEET PG College Predictor using the link in the description below. It's quick, effortless and gives you instant clarity that most applicants only realize much later in the process. Because when it comes to PG admissions, the earlier you plan, the stronger your chances. So to bring everything together, here are the 5 takeaways you should remember from Andhra Pradesh NEET PG Counselling 2025 process. 1. Only the local Andhra Pradesh candidates are eligible for competent authority quota counselling. 2. Management quota counselling is open to all India candidates including institutional quota candidates and NRI candidates. 3. The counselling for CAQ and MQ is conducted separately with its own notification, registration window and admission timeline. 4. Bond duration, penalties and service obligations differ between CAQ and MQ. Make sure you understand them before accepting a seat. 5. Round-wise rules like option entry, seat upgradation and free exit can directly affect your eligibility for later round. Plan your choices carefully. So that's the complete breakdown of CAQ versus MQ in Andhra Pradesh NEET PG Counselling 2025. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and for complete counselling guidance with the experts, comment NEET PG below and don't forget to subscribe for more updates on the medical PG admissions and medical career pathways across India and abroad.